Brodes Media.
What is going on, everyone? Oh, it was a tough one in South Philadelphia tonight. We're going to break it all down. Before we do, if you're new to the channel, make sure you're hitting the subscribe button and hitting the thumbs up button as well. I really appreciate the support every single night. I love you all. And real quickly, if you're looking to buy tickets to go to NBA, NHL, and NFL games, you can utilize the promo code Brodes at SeatGeek's checkout for $20 off. $20. You're taking away the fees, all that nonsense fees, right from the jump. It's not even there. Poof. It's gone. It's eliminated. Promo code Brodes. It's a no-brainer. Make sure you get yourself to a game very, very soon. And with that being said, enjoy the show. What is going on, everyone? What a ridiculous game. That was outrageous. My emotions were going through the ups and the downs. I could barely handle myself in the second half and during the first overtime and during the second overtime as well. I had to deal with Tyrese Maxey missing a free throw on purpose, the Sixers cashing in, D'Angelo Russell knocking down major threes and exploding in that second half, Matisse Thybulle getting shredded defensively at times, Joel Embiid, a step back three, some tough shots thrown in the mix as well, coming up with a big rejection on the defensive end and providing the spark on that side as well. It was nonstop. Karl-Anthony Towns fouling out of the game. There were so many different parts where, that's the beauty of basketball. I'm not going to lie. I'm upset that they lost, and realistically, I'm crushed with the outcome as Prince hits the bucket to take the lead after a Tyrese Maxey turnover in the last possession. Joel Embiid is out by the perimeter. He's getting double teamed, and there's a wide open Seth Curry, and we'll break that down as we continue this conversation. But of course, I have to highlight those game-changing type of scenarios and plays that happened out there. While I am defeated and deflated and it's so painful, I do have to just acknowledge from a pure basketball standpoint, and we just went through how many months with no fans in the building, the fact that the Wells Fargo Center going nuts and going bonkers, and Joel Embiid looking around, doing the good old hands up to get the crowd going. It's like, damn, that's the beauty of sports, and not to get too sidetracked, but we witnessed something similar today. Michigan beating Ohio State, such a crucial college football game. You see Jim Harbaugh getting interviewed in the middle of the field while thousands and thousands and thousands of fans come storming into the field. That's the beauty of sports. There was an element to this game of just appreciating this back and forth action, although when you see that the Sixers lose, it's definitely crushing. Now, I will say this on top of everything. I'm not a fan that's hitting the panic button. I'm not upset to the point where I think less of this team or I think differently of this team because of anything we saw on the West Coast swing during however many games you did not have everybody available. And even losing to the Timberwolves, it's not what I want to see, but I don't think any less of this squad. Joel Embiid, first game back, you would have thought that there would be some sort of, all right, let's incorporate him back and get everybody on the same page. I think there's a correlation with him not being available because of COVID, and then what you saw in the first half, what you saw throughout the beginning stages where the points in the paint was a tough stat to look at, and this team wasn't creating what we thought they should have because, it takes time to kind of get readjusted as a core. It takes time for Tyrese Maxey to figure out perfectly how he's going to be getting the ball to Joel Embiid, and Tobias Harris, I thought, had a really ugly start to this game. I think it's just, hey, we got to get back to Joel Embiid being in there. It takes time. It takes moments. It takes minutes. It takes halves to do that. So, it was going to be a bit of a learning process to figure everything out. But the fact that Joel Embiid came back to action and played 45 minutes, had 42, how many boards? 14, 42 and 14, went to the free throw line 21 times. He helped out defensively tremendously as well. And even after the game, he's saying, dude, it was crushing. That hurt. That was not something I thought I was going to make it out of. Joking around with a little bit of a smile. Not that it's a laughing matter. As you heard, Karl-Anthony Towns forgot about the beef, didn't really worry about what type of attitude they had towards each other in the past. Wanted to make sure Joel was okay with what he went through. While D'Angelo Russell, this dude who clearly has no sense of, understanding social skills considering what he's done in the past, but he calls out the Sixers saying, well, they waiting for Minnesota to bring their players back. Do you not pay attention? Do you not see what's happening around the league where Joel had COVID? Oh, yeah, you guys are so good, and you guys are so special, D'Angelo Russell, that the Sixers elected to not play their guys for however many games, go on a 2-7 stretch, and then highlighted your bitch ass to be the game to come back from? I mean, that doesn't even make a little bit of sense if you use your brain, if you comprehend life, if you know what's going on around you, if you're paying attention to the details surrounding your damn league. And don't tell me nothing matters except for their squad. Just pay attention to your locker room. That's foolish. This is the NBA. When Woj is tweeting, hey, Joel Embiid is back, this is Woj level. This is Shams level. Of, hey, NBA world, look what's happening in Philadelphia. And oh, by the way, I have to throw out there that Ben Simmons comes back to take some shots up before the game begins at the Wells Fargo Center. I don't know what this means, but it seems like it's inching towards what Ben Simmons doesn't want to be doing, if we're being clear, if we're being honest with one another, no? Doesn't it seem like it's trending in the direction of, hey, he's ramping things back up? He was earlier doing it at St. Joe's. It was St. Joe's, right? Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it was St. Joe's. And now it's happening at the Wells Fargo Center with some coaches before the game begins. We'll see what that means. We absolutely will. But all around with this game, I thought that Joel, he was going to get doubled consistently. And there's a feel-out process to get your teammates back in action. Were there some turnovers? Absolutely. But I also thought that he got Seth Curry open looks. He got his shooters open looks. He was actively finding his teammates, and that's only going to get better as he feels it out once more again. I mean, the only action he had was a light scrimmage prior to this game. So I would imagine, and we'll see. We'll see what the reaction's like. We'll see how his body reacts to everything. They play on Monday at home against the Orlando Magic before hitting the road again. We'll see. I mean, I didn't expect him to play 45 minutes tonight, so does that impact how much he plays next game? If he plays next game, things of that nature. We'll continue, although, we'll continue to keep an eye out on it, but we do know that Joel Embiid is a damn warrior this year and pushing through things a lot more than we ever have before. And by the way, his son in action, witnessing for the first time, yeah, I think that played a big role in his motivation as well, where he was just like, hey, let me do this for the child. Let me do this for the young Joel Jr. That's not his name, but you get my point. Impressive effort out of him. All right, so that last possession, getting doubled. He should have found Seth Curry. How much time was on the clock, though, at the same time? It wasn't as if it was perfect and there was so much time left. You have to find a way. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he's in the right here. You have to find a way to find Seth Curry there. He's wide open, clapping his damn hands at the top of the perimeter. But I just also want to admit that I don't feel it was as easy as it looks or as we witnessed it in time. You study how the defenders were in his grill and where they were. Yeah, you got to find them. But it's not as if it was the most easy thing ever. And Joel Embiid just missed the most easiest thing in the entire world with where the clock was and with how the defenders kind of angled him off. But I also don't mind Doc Rivers because everyone's all disgusted with him. And I think it's fair. But at the same time, when Joel has 42 points, we talk about it all the time in this damn league. Give your playmakers the ball. Give your best players on the floor the ball. Let them operate. Let them go to work. I don't have a problem with giving Joel Embiid the ball. If you didn't, if you went to Tobias, if you went to Seth, if you went to Maxey, what would you all be screaming? You gotta go to Joel. Joel had 42. Joel was scoring at will. Joel had the big step back shot. He made some tough jumpers after that as well to keep you engaged and to give you the lead. If you didn't go to Joel, you'd be pissed. Now, I think where the argument is to get him the basketball so deep and so far, not deep enough, I should say, and so far away from the basket, that opened the door for Minnesota to throw a look that they were going to throw no matter what. It was inevitable that Joel Embiid was going to get pressure and they'd put the foot on the gas while attacking him to force him to make an uncomfortable situation, whether he's 5 feet from the basket or 10 feet from the basket or 15 feet from the basket. But ultimately, I think that's my biggest criticism is just where they got Joel Embiid the ball, not necessarily living and dying with Joel Embiid having a last-second chance there to do whatever. And obviously, it's not ideal what happened. It's not ideal what was jacked up. But I also don't hate the idea of get the ball in your best playmaker's hands. I saw some reaction that you can't even go to Joel there. I mean, what are you doing? That's foolish to make that type of statement. And speaking of the way Doc Rivers handled things, maybe it took a bit too long to get into this, but in that second half, they clearly took Joel Embiid in another direction and targeted karl-Anthony Towns on the defensive end differently. As in when the Sixers were playing defense, they looked at that matchup differently, worked Joel Embiid off Cat more, and I thought that clearly benefited the squad. As, you know, Cat made some really impressive shots that I don't watch karl-Anthony Towns on a night-to-night basis. Clearly, he's an all-star in this league. He's a great scorer, and he's a phenomenal player. But I did see some of those shots, whether it was a running hook shot over Niang, and I'm not telling you that Niang is some special defensive player. karl-Anthony Towns should score, but it's a tough shot, and it's an unorthodox shot, and some of these fadeaways, high-arcing shots, I don't know, I'm just telling you that I thought he caught my eye a handful of times, as well as Edwards with the major dunk. A little bit more earlier in the game for him, but he was showing off his athleticism. No doubt about it. That dunk was ridiculous. Well, that's what happens when you turn the basketball over. It's hard. You know, Maxey had some turnovers, and when we look at Tyrese Maxey specifically, that's the type of growing pains that we knew we'd have to go through. With Tyrese Maxey, he's a good player. He's a young, good player that's continuing to grow. You need those type of turnovers. And I love that Joel Embiid, after the game, when Maxey was asked about it, he kind of stepped in and took the leadership role and took the leadership kind of blame, if you will, on that play. And I mean, I just love the fact that that's where Joel Embiid is at in his career. It's clear that he's taken 9 billion steps in the right direction in that department. But Tyrese Maxey, it wasn't all going to be perfect. It wasn't all going to be beautiful. It wasn't all going to be just explosive plays when he's attacking the basket and knocking down threes. There would be some tough spots. There would be some bad turnovers, bad decision-making. And I thought defensively, him, Seth Curry, even Matisse Thybulle, you know, you kind of look at that area, and they're going to need big-time improvement on that end, too. And, I mean, there's only obviously so much they can do. There's going to be a cap, but you have to study their individual games on a game-by-game basis and kind of look at what you got on that side. But even just going back to that mistake and that costly turnover, yeah, I mean, this is just inevitable. You can't hide from the fact that Tyrese Maxey will have these moments. It's more about how you bottle that up for the long term, and you study the film, and you realize next time you throw the pass higher. And I thought Mark Jackson kind of alluded to this perfectly throughout the game when they went back to the post-game show, and even during, I think there was something throughout with Intermission Live, where at times Tyrese Maxey deferred. And I'm not telling you it's an easy task to be playing with Joel Embiid when you're a 21-year-old player and you're the primary point guard, and you want to make sure that he's satisfied. You want to make sure he's touching the ball as much as possible. That's what you do in this league. Get the ball in the hands of your best players. But, you know, you have to find that perfect balance at times and register, hey, this is my possession. Hey, this is my opportunity. And sometimes it does happen. It's like, yeah, that's awesome. But is there a feel-out process on how to kind of get that organically and naturally? And, you know, that's part of just watching Tyrese Maxey grow. Now, you just fall behind, and it's a tough position to dig yourself out of no matter what team you're playing against. They scored 30 points in the fourth quarter. They scored 29 points in the third quarter. You know, they were putting up points. It's just, hey, you know, you put yourself in such a bad spot. They went on some major runs, and they creaked back into the score, and Danny Green made some shots, made a big play defensively, and then had a nice look for three, and if he would have cashed that one in, I really thought the Wells Fargo Center's roof was going to be blown off the building. Oh, man. And you can even hear, too, at times, after one of those. But the crowd was in it. It was back and forth action. And Tobias came up bigger in the second half. The refs were atrocious, as always. Another problem here. There was a call on Joel Embiid when he is defending karl-Anthony Towns. Cat throws it out of bounds as he's cutting towards the free throw line. Goes kind of to the right side of his body. There was nothing whatsoever. And they call a foul because why? Because it was a bad pass and you're just reacting to that. Moments later, Tyrese Maxey, great defense, jumps up, no body contact whatsoever. The ball ends up being short and hitting the front of the rim. And then the referee referees wait until the shot was missed to blow the whistle? Do I really have to repeat myself after every game? You can basically write this in on my notepad that I have in front of me, and I can just pretty much maybe get something where it's pre-made, where on the bottom line it just says, has a bullet point and goes, referees blow, referees suck. So whenever I'm writing my notes, I don't have to write it. It's just engraved right into each sheet of paper. Maybe I should email the 3-subject notebook from Wexford, 120 sheets, and see if that's something that we can accomplish. A player like Tobias, though, there's two ways to look at this. Yo, dude, you got to be significantly better to start the game. And then on the other side, and keep in mind, he's banged up. He didn't play against the Warriors. He's got the hip issue, so he's playing through something. He's not 100%. But the other side of it, to look at more to positive, is there's a lot of players in this league, when they have that type of effort in the first, they kind of let it affect you for the rest of the way, and then you're never figuring it out. You never get to playing good basketball. But instead, he's working hard. He's putting up some buckets around the rim. He's playing with energy. It's sort of like the whole DB thing. Put it behind you, and let's just move forward here. It's a new half. It's a new second half. It's the fourth quarter. My team needs some help. Let's see what happens. It's just unfortunate that D'Angelo Russell was destroying you and really knocking down some serious buckets. Really some serious buckets. Some of those threes towards the end, I couldn't believe it. It was jaw droppers, where your jaw literally hits the damn floor because you're in awe. I don't know how to face. He's like, I hate the face, but he's not at the same time. But then those words after the game really put me to a whole new level. I think that sparked a hatred to looking at his face more. He was never in that category for me. But he had a big night tonight. There's no denying that. He came up big. The Timberwolves ended up getting into some foul trouble. There were some brutal fouls called on both sides. I mean, there was even a possession super late in the game where it 1,000% went off Joel Embiid. The referee, just because Joel Embiid pointed in that direction real quickly, the referees elected to give the Sixers the ball. The Sixers inbounded it real quickly. But we're talking about overtime periods, these two teams putting everything on the line. And it was such a bad, egregious call. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you miss that. It's pathetic and embarrassing in that moment of the game. You're so unaware to the possession, and you're so unaware of what's happening right in front of you, as your job is to study the basketball. But that's where this sport is, and that's me even getting fired up thinking about it from the Timberwolves' perspective, as they got boned in that spot. But that's just, I guess, where this game is. But yeah, with that game, it's kind of like that. That's where we're at for the most part, as I'm kind of looking through my notes here. It's upsetting. It hurts. It stings. It was highly entertaining. Now they're playing 500 basketball at this point, but for the long term, I'm not going to freak out. I'm not going to say that this team sucks. Let me pull out my phone, because I got Twitter reaction throughout, which is, I love this. It's so reactionary. It's so insane. Let's see here. Hold on. Sorry, I got a bunch coming in. But it makes me laugh that this is where we're at. Oh, I must have missed it. Sixers looking like poverty right now, Brodes. That was in the beginning of the game when I tweeted about Embiid. There goes my Ben Simmons for Anthony Edwards dream. That was from Larry. Not that I ever thought that was going to happen. So we didn't go. This loss is like a kick to my testicle. Okay. Maybe I don't know where it came in at. Oh, because I think their account was private. I will find this. Yeah, here it is. This team fucking sucks. I can't believe it took me that long to figure that out. But this team fucking sucks was the tweet that came in as soon as I put up crushed. What a ridiculous game. I mean that's the reaction here. That's how we feel after this one. Is this team fucking sucks based off of all those circumstances that you can't just bottle up and pretend that you move it to the side and it does not impact where they are right now? Yeah, they're playing 500 basketball. Half of that which makes a lot of sense, is without their serious players. The other half, which is where they went 8-2, was when everyone was available. Just give it some time. I think over some games, once maybe Tobias Harris and this hip situation plays out. Danny Green, that's a whole nother side of things with Matisse Thybulle over Danny Green. It's real easy and simple to say keep Danny Green on the bench because maybe a limited role is more for where he's at right now in his career. But then we also can't just pretend that Matisse Thybulle is providing enough offensively. He's not. Quite frankly, he wasn't doing enough on both sides of the game in this one by the end of it, but he's not good enough offensively, and it is killing you, and it's not something that you can continue to trot out there. He needs to take a big step in that direction, and I just don't think it's ever going to happen at this point because it's kind of stuck. I feel like we're stuck in neutral on his offensive game, and if there's really nothing yet, I don't know when it's going to happen. Like maybe if we saw a little bit of tinier steps and tiny steps, I'd be like, okay, yeah, maybe there's something to that. But we are absolutely 1,000% stuck in Matisse, and that doesn't mean that Matisse Thybulle stinks or he's brutal and he's not serviceable. 1,000% he is. But he's going to be held back, and this will limit him, and this will help or hurts. It won't help the Sixers because if Danny Green could stay on the bench and play 22 minutes or so, and he does more than just shooting. He does things defensively, too, that's very smart and very intelligent to the game that might not be as sexy and might not pop as much. Even at his age, it's still thrown in there. It's still flirted throughout. So let's not pretend that doesn't matter either. But if he could play that role and Matisse can actually be a 30-minute guy, 30-plus minute guy, he can be pulled out first with the rotations. It hurts, though. It hurts. It really does. So, all right, we are going to go to the Anytime Hotline. First, let me tell you about WinView. WinView is the nation's leading sports predictor, allowing you to compete in pregame or live contest against other people, not the house. So forget about spreads, forget about salary caps and over-unders. All you need to do is answer questions about the game that you love. It's just that simple. NBA games, NHL games, NFL games, there's weekend contests, there's week-long contests, there's live games, there's pre-games. All you do, literally, bang, questions pop up. You answer those questions. If you answer them correctly, you're getting cashed out. And it's honestly what's been keeping me alive here for going shopping. If you don't know, I have a shopping addiction. I love clothes. I love shoes. I love scents. I love going to Bath and Body Works and buying all this stuff that smells so damn delicious. And the reason I'm able to consistently do that is because I take my winnings from WinView and I run right on over to H&M.com, Lululemon. I go to StockX. We go to GOAT. We check out some stuff for some shoes as well, Jordan 1s, Jordan 1 lows, things of that nature. So all I'm telling you right now is to make sure that you check out WinView.tv. The information is down below in the description. They have a deposit bonus right now where they are doubling your deposit up to $100. If you spend $50, you'll get $100. If you spend $100, you'll get $200. It's a no-brainer. Check them out down below. Now, I'm going to start here with the Anytime Hotline, and we'll start out with the text. This is from Luke in Allentown. We absolutely need, all capitals, need more out of Tobias. Yes, he had some nice moments in the fourth, but we need more throughout the game and down the stretch. Joel couldn't do it all. Well, that's what we've always been kind of discussing with Joel Embiid is it's very difficult for a 7-foot big man to be the only guy. You talk about Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan. Choose your poison here. They're both weapons. Now, obviously, Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan, but Scottie Pippen was so valuable. I don't have to describe to you why and tell you why he was. Now, right now with the 76ers, you want to double Joel? You'll live with Seth Curry and Maxey and Matisse Thybulle and Tobias Harris taking shots. That's obvious. It's not as easy when you have someone who's supposed to be your secondary player. Ben Simmons is supposed to grow into that, but unfortunately, he's a scared loser who isn't there for you. So that is where the problem is. And while, yeah, you want Tobias to be him because he's getting paid, we've been through this a billion times. That's not him. So, he's better than what he showed in the first half, but ultimately, all around, people to demand for him to be that role, that's really not him. We know that's not him. So stop just saying, well, he gets paid that way, he has to do it. It's not him. It's not him. I scream at people every day about this. But he gets paid. I gotcha. My man is overpaid. He's the third option on your basketball team. And when you look at the vision of what this team was supposed to be, Ben Simmons' fraud ass wasn't supposed to go down this path, and he was supposed to be your crucial contributor secondary to Joel. And if it played out that way, well then Tobias Harris makes more sense. It doesn't when you don't have that secondary piece. And this is why Joel Embiid needs some help. Big time. He might have players to do it here and there on nightly basis where, okay, Seth Curry this night, and Danny Green had a big night in one night, and Tobias has his job another night. But if you don't have it solidified where you know it's Joel plus one other person, and that's their nod consistently, no matter who they're playing, you can rely on these two down the stretch, and maybe one day it ends up being Maxey. The problem is the window of time, and I've already talked about this. Maxey has been growing at a pace that's significantly faster than anybody else in this damn league, it seems. Where, hey, you need to work on this. 5 games later, he's done it. Hey, you need to work on that. 5 games later, he's done that too. So maybe it'll be quicker than I anticipate because he seems to be moving at a rapid pace. But not enough to, I'd be shocked. I might fall over dead, deceased. If it's anything this year where he's doing it on a closeout level, nonstop. No. That's why you got the turnover that you got today. All right, what is next here on the Anytime Hotline?
Look, I realize I'm probably going to get labeled as a Joel Embiid hater for this, but I just like this game as an example of why I don't think a championship team can be led solely based on a Joel Embiid offense. Like, it feels like they took away a lot of what Tyrese Maxey was doing very well, and they just said, hey, force it to Joel Embiid every time. And that's kind of what caused a lot of craziness down the stretch. And I mean, look, he's a generational type player. He's a heck of a player, but if your offense down the stretch becomes just get it to Joel Embiid and ignore everyone else, and that's when you get a lot of bad Joel Embiid shots or turnovers from trying to force it to him. I just think, you need someone else.
Yeah, that's it right there. See, you ended it right. Everything you said was absolute nonsense. I'm being honest with you. It's a joke. It's bad. There's some tough words that came out of your mouth. But at the end, you acknowledge they need somebody out. This isn't a Joel problem. You can't win with Joel is a bad statement. That's wrong. It's just false. That is the start. You need a surrounding team. You need the right pieces around him. Joel Embiid is the start of this. Without Joel, you're never talking about making playoff runs and battling in the second round with Toronto in 7 games, and even with what happened last year. Without Joel, we're not even having any of these conversations. It's not you can't win with Joel. It's very tough to operate throughout a big man with the way the game is played today, with stretching the floor and ball handlers and isolation out by the perimeter. 1,000%. It's difficult to win consistently rolling through a 7'2" back to the basket player. But that doesn't mean you can't win with Joel, and Joel is the problem here. It's you don't have the supporting and you don't have that secondary layer, that secondary player that can be relied on just like Joel can over 45 minutes of play and fourth quarter moments and overtime moments where you're hitting that step back 3 and you're hitting some of those tough shots when you're fading to the right, and there were some beautiful jab steps in there. I saw quickness, acceleration to the basket to finish at the rim. So yeah, that did upset me a little bit. I don't think you're a Joel Embiid hater. I think what you meant is what I'm trying to display, but you went about it the wrong way. Because it would be foolish to say you can't win with Joel. I hate that. You can't win with this guy. You can't win with that guy. People say that all the time about everyone in this league. Guess what? The percentage of being right is so damn high because it's so damn hard to win a championship. So kudos. I'm not pointing at you specifically, but for all the sports fans out there, you'll never win with this guy. Hey, kudos. Congratulations on having a 95% chance on being correct, and you were right. Oh, you're just so intelligent. Back to the Joel Embiid specific, though. It's more about Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons being small. Ben Simmons coming up short. Ben Simmons being afraid of the game of basketball. That's the bigger issue than Joel. But you have to work around that. That's the issue. At the end of the day, what's the end result? Joel Embiid is here without Ben Simmons. So what do you do? And the answer is not trade Ben Simmons for nobody just because. Because that's just bad. If you're the GM and you do that, your ass would be fired within minutes. What's next?
Oh my God, bro! The Sixers is a very bad heartbreaker to the Timberwolves, 120 to 119. They were down by 20 in that third quarter, and they came back, started making threes, playing defense. The whole crowd got into it. It was just a great game overall, even though they lost. I think a big takeaway from this is Embiid. He's back in his MVP form, and Tyrese Maxey. I mean, he had a down game for sure, but he needs to know when to shoot the ball, like in the clutch, because on that last turnover in double OT, it's like the Wolves kind of much, it was too predictable of a pass, and they just picked it off right there, and they got it for a layup. So he needs to know when to shoot the ball, when to pass, and all that with Embiid, but still a fun game.
It was a fun game, even though it was heartbreaking by the end. And yeah, you're right. Maxey is going to have to learn, but he's going to be learning on the job, and that's not new information for all of us as fans. That was somewhat kind of told to us. That was kind of the situation that was handed to us. So you'll have to live with these games and these fourth quarters and these overtimes, I should say, with the turnovers. And then appreciate all the great ones, too. It's going to be a lot of ups and a lot of downs, and probably a lot more ups, though. And that's your positive. There'll be a lot more rising moments than there is failures. And that's the beauty of this kid, but you need those failures for him to kind of adapt and for him to study. So then the next time he has that, we'll see what happens. The next time they're trying to do a little bit of a pick play with Joel, and they get him in a certain area on the floor. Does he make the pass higher? Does he get the pass at a better spot compared to maybe forcing it in a different area on the floor? So just something to continue for us to witness and to really analyze as games progress. And we'll see what happens on Monday. Just to look a bit ahead on their schedule, it is the Magic on Monday in South Philadelphia. Then they play the Boston Celtics on the road Wednesday. They play the Hawks on the road on Friday. So they got some big emotional games coming up. They got Markelle Fultz. And by the way, Markelle Fultz had some nice things to say about Philly. How about that? I did not anticipate seeing that on my timeline. He basically down the road of, look, they cheered for me. They got that attitude, sort of like the DMV where he's from. I'm surprised. How about that from Markelle? Good for him. I like that. I respect him more, for sure. All right, we're going to head out of here, but first, let me tell you about DeSimone Jewelers. I got my fiance's engagement ring from there, and I keep going back nonstop. For her birthday, for Valentine's Day, for every holiday possible, I'm going back to DeSimone Jewelers. They're a family-owned business located in Haddonfield, New Jersey, previously in Jewelers Row. Will, Lou, Nick, Mike, they're just great people, and they don't treat you like you're just a customer. You are a part of their family. They want to sit you down. They want to educate you. As much as we're passionate about Philadelphia sports, they're passionate in jewelry. They show you the diamonds, the difference in clarity. They give you tools so you can fully analyze what the difference is in all these, and they work with you to get the best design at the most reasonable price you will find in the market. They provide custom jewelry design, jewelry repairs, appraisals, watch repairs, battery replacement, diamond setting, jewelry cleaning, and so much more. Check out their information down below in the description, DeSimoneJewelers.com, and tell them also that Brodes sent you. I want to thank everybody so much for hanging out and listening to this episode of Sports Talk with Brodes, and I will see you next time.